From getting into trouble with his mom and getting kicked out at just 14.
She told me to quit.
Yeah.
Or I'm leaving. Like, you know, or like, you can't do this in my house. So I'm like, I'm out.
To defying all odds and becoming a global sensation.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! I'm sorry. Oh my God, we're down. Oh my God!
And the winner, Mr. Universe, is IshowSpeed.
I appreciate everybody, appreciate the whole world, appreciate all my fans. Love y'all.
This is the true story of how IshowSpeed's own mother almost ended his career and how he turned that pain into power. Darren Watkins Jr., better known today as IshowSpeed, was born into a world of hardship. Growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, life at home was anything but peaceful. From a young age, Speed watched his parents drift apart until the inevitable happened. They split. His father would later lose a custody battle, and Speed stayed with his mother. But that didn't mean stability. Their household was tense, finances were strained, and emotional warmth was hard to come by.
Hey, you're good. You're good. Hey, you good.
Hey, chill.
Will you chill?
Stop.
I mean it. No, you stop. Fuck you talking to people like that? Cut it out. Not in my house, and not with your siblings in here. And I mean it.
Hey.
I'm not in the mood right now, man. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood right now, bro. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood, bro. Huh? I'm doing something right now, man.
I need change.
You need what?
Change.
What? Like some money?
Yes, 15.
Even outside those four walls, the world wasn't much kinder. Speed's neighborhood was tough, fights were common, and trouble always seemed close by. As he would later recall, he didn't grow up in a nice area. He saw things no kid should see. At school, he wasn't the silent kid in the corner. He was the loud one, the class clown. Making people laugh became his defense mechanism, a way to deal with the roughness around him. Despite all of this, there was a spark in Speed, a drive to be someone, to be heard. That spark would one day ignite a global firestorm of fame, but it started in silence, in a broken home with a confused kid trying to figure out where he belonged. Even in his earliest moments, the odds seemed stacked against him. His mother, trying to do her best as a single parent, had expectations Speed couldn't always meet. The two would often clash, their personalities colliding under the weight of their circumstances. Love existed, but it was hidden beneath misunderstandings, miscommunication, and unspoken wounds. Little did either of them know, this boy, the same one who once danced in talent shows and got in trouble for making jokes, would grow up to be a household name. But before he could shine, he had to survive the storm brewing right inside his home. Even in the chaos of his home life, Speed always found one way to stand out. He made people laugh. Whether it was dancing in talent shows or cracking jokes in the back of the classroom, Speed lived to entertain. His classmates knew him as a class clown, a harmless troll who could bring energy to any room. Laughter for him wasn't just fun, it was survival. It was how he coped with the heaviness of life at home. But it wasn't just jokes. Speed was also a gifted athlete. He played both football and basketball during his freshman year at Purcell Marion High School and was quick enough on the field to earn the nickname Speed. Some say he was even on track to become a 4- or 5-star football recruit. Whether or not that's true, his competitive spirit was undeniable. He was fast, confident, and eager to prove himself. Sports were his ticket out, or so it seemed. But in the background, another passion was taking root: video games. Long before he was known on YouTube, Speed spent hours immersed in games like NBA 2K and Fortnite. They gave him a sense of control, a sense of fun, and most of all, a sense of possibility. It wasn't long before he looked at someone like Ninja, the Fortnite superstar, and thought, why not me? That spark of entertainment that once lived in classrooms and sports fields was now shifting toward a screen. Slowly but surely, Speed was beginning to dream bigger, beyond his school, beyond his city, and beyond the traditional paths laid out for him. All he needed now was the courage to choose it. Speed's journey into the world of YouTube began with a simple dream: to become a streamer. At just 11 years old, he created his first YouTube channel. His earliest videos were rough, casual recordings. Nothing glamorous, just a kid chasing a vision. But he didn't care about the numbers. To Speed, getting even one viewer felt like a victory. That one person meant someone was listening, someone was watching. By his sophomore year, Speed faced a crossroads. He had talent in sports, but his heart was elsewhere. Streaming had become more than a hobby. It was a calling. So he made a choice that would define everything. He gave up sports and, more shockingly, began to disengage from school. His grades slipped. He skipped assignments. And before long, school became background noise to his daily live streams. Streaming gave him something school never could: a sense of control and direction. While his classmates chased GPAs, Speed chased subscribers. And slowly, it began to work. His streams, often filled with high energy and humor, started drawing attention. First a few viewers, then a dozen, then more. But this passion came at a cost. His mother noticed the change. From her view, her son was throwing his life away, abandoning school to shout into a webcam. To Speed, it was a sacrifice for his dream. To his mom, it looked like recklessness. The tension between passion and parental concern was reaching a boiling point. Still, Speed kept going. He streamed every single day. Win or lose, laugh or cry, he showed up. And though he didn't know it yet, this commitment was building the foundation for one of the most explosive careers in YouTube history. By 2020, Darren, now known online as IshowSpeed, was beginning to see results. His small channel was slowly growing. He had around 5,000 subscribers and was averaging about 20 viewers per stream. It wasn't massive, but for a teenager with no promotion, it was promising. He was grinding daily, pouring his energy into content. But then everything changed because of a single clip. One of Speed's streams ended up on Worldstar Hip Hop. The clip didn't go viral, but it hit about 30,000 views, enough to grab attention. His father saw it first, then showed it to Speed's mother. But instead of celebrating the recognition, she was mortified. The video had haters in the comments, some mocking Speed, others criticizing his behavior. His mom focused on the negativity. "Why is everybody talking about you online?" she asked. The embarrassment was too much for her. For her, the internet wasn't a place of opportunity, it was a place of danger and shame. That night, she made a decision that would rock Speed's world. She gave him an ultimatum: quit YouTube or get out of my house. Speed was only 14 or 15 at the time. He was just a kid chasing a dream. But in that moment, he had to choose between comfort and ambition. He chose ambition. She kicked him out. To be kicked out of your own home for doing what you love is a pain few people ever understand. Speed wasn't selling drugs. He wasn't out getting in trouble. He was live streaming and trying to entertain. And yet to his mother, that was unacceptable. It was the first major fallout in a long line of emotional clashes between them. But it wouldn't be the last. After being kicked out by his mother, Speed had nowhere to go but north, to Detroit, Michigan, where his father lived. The move was sudden, painful, and emotionally devastating. He was just 14. One minute, he was building momentum in his room. The next, he was packing his belongings, banished from the only home he'd ever really known. Detroit offered him something his mother's house never did: freedom. His dad didn't question his dreams. He didn't monitor Speed's streams or scold him for shouting late at night. He let his son be himself. For the first time, Speed could go all in on his passion without fear of judgment or punishment. But the freedom came at a heavy cost: loneliness. In Michigan, Speed didn't have friends. Nobody from his old life called. The people he laughed with at school, silent. His cousins, distant. He was a teen, isolated in a new city, battling depression in silence. During this time, he would reflect in streams, confessing how alone he felt. The emotional toll was deep. Even success felt hollow when there was no one to share it with. Yet he kept going. He doubled down on streaming, pouring his pain into the content. His energy became his outlet. Every viewer was a friend he didn't have. Every subscriber, a vote of confidence that he wasn't crazy for chasing this dream. His father, watching silently from the background, supported him the only way he knew how, by staying out of the way. Speed didn't just survive in Detroit, he leveled up. The boy who was kicked out for streaming was now streaming harder than ever. And somewhere between the pain and the pixels, IshowSpeed was truly born. In the silence of his new room in Detroit, far from the noise of home, Speed found himself battling emotions he hadn't expected, crushing loneliness, self-doubt, and quiet depression. His mother's rejection still stung. The people from his past weren't reaching out. The stream chat became his only company. But in that solitude, something else emerged. Clarity. He wasn't going to quit. If anything, the pain pushed him harder. Every stream became a mission. He went live every day, shouting into the void until the void shouted back. From 1 viewer to 4, from 8 to 20. It was slow, agonizing growth, but it was real. He could see it, feel it, and for the first time, he believed that maybe, just maybe, this thing might actually work. By early 2021, his channel was picking up steam. He had a small but loyal audience that showed up consistently. His freakouts, his honesty, his rawness, they made him different. This wasn't the polished content of big YouTubers. This was real, authentic, messy, human. Still, his heart was heavy. The people he wanted most to notice, his family, still weren't cheering him on. And yet, Speed didn't stop. He found purpose in the pain. Every subscriber felt like a middle finger to the doubt that had pushed him out of his own home. Then slowly, the numbers began to move. 100 new subs in a week, then hundreds a day. Clips of his wild streams started surfacing on TikTok. His name was circulating. IshowSpeed was becoming more than just a screen name. It was becoming a movement. Alone in that room with no fanfare, no applause, and no comfort, Speed broke through. Not just online, but inside himself. He turned rejection into resolve, pain into power, silence into a global voice. Just as Darren was starting to gain real momentum as IshowSpeed, reality pulled him back. His mother called. She had learned he was failing school and she wasn't having it. Regardless of his online growth, she still saw a son who hadn't earned a high school diploma. So with his father's agreement, Speed moved back home to Cincinnati for his junior year. But coming home didn't mean returning to comfort. It meant returning to control. His mother set strict boundaries. She enrolled him in online classes and locked him in to focus. Streaming was only allowed within her rules. No late nights, no yelling, no acting crazy, and most of all, no slacking off in school. For Speed, it was like walking on eggshells. One wrong move, one loud scream, one viral moment too late in the evening, and it could all be taken away again. His dream was expanding rapidly, but his space to live it out was shrinking. He had to adjust. He started streaming earlier, sometimes right after dinner, just to squeeze in hours before the 11 p.m. quiet curfew. But even then, interruptions were common. His mom would burst into his room, yell at him midstream, or even shut off the internet if she felt he crossed the line. And yet, despite the tension, Speed stayed. He completed his coursework, earned his missing credits, and graduated, an achievement both for him and, in a way, for her. Still, the household was far from peaceful. Speed's career was exploding, but at home, he wasn't treated like a star. He was still just her son, still subject to the same doubt, the same dismissals, the same silencing. In a strange twist, the more he succeeded, the more uncomfortable things became. The ceiling was too low for someone destined to fly. As IshowSpeed's subscriber count skyrocketed, Speed should have been celebrating. In April 2021, he was gaining close to 100,000 subscribers per day. He hit 600,000, then 1 million. His streams were electric, filled with hype, emotion, and gratitude. To the outside world, it was a moment of triumph. But inside his own home, it felt like he was cheering alone. Every time Speed tried to celebrate, something or someone shut it down. During one stream celebrating a huge milestone, His mom stormed in yelling. As the chat watched in real time, the joy drained from Speed's face. He apologized to his fans with tears in his voice, his energy collapsing into quiet humiliation. And it wasn't just once. When he hit 100K, he begged his mom to come say congrats. She reluctantly appeared and gave a cold, monotone, "Congratulations," then left. Not even a glance of acknowledgement that her son had just achieved what millions of kids dream of. Worse still, she would sometimes cut off his internet midstream, ruining his momentum in front of thousands of live viewers. The hypocrisy stung. She demanded respect, yet cussed him out on camera. She wanted peace, yet her interruptions caused chaos. To fans, it was shocking. To Speed, it was just another day. Despite the rapid rise in fame and influence, Speed was still fighting the same battle at home, trying to prove that what he was doing mattered, that his milestones were real, that he deserved to feel proud. But the more he succeeded, the less it seemed to mean, at least to the one person he still wanted validation from. Eventually, even Speed reached his breaking point. The tension in his mother's house had become unbearable. The emotional pressure, constant yelling, lack of privacy, and unpredictable outbursts were no longer just frustrating. They were stifling. Despite millions of followers, brand deals, and growing fame, Speed was still being treated like a rebellious teenager rather than a rising global entertainer. He tried to make it work. He apologized to fans on stream. He laughed off the interruptions. He begged for peace during milestone moments. But nothing changed. Then came the final straw. During yet another stream, his mom cut off the internet mid-broadcast. She yelled, criticized him, and showed no regard for the career her son was building in real time. Speed was done. In a heartfelt announcement, he told his viewers, "For the first time in my life, I'll be moving out of my mother's house." The chat exploded with support, and even through the screen, the relief in his voice was undeniable. It wasn't just about freedom. It was about finally being able to grow without fear. No curfews, no screaming interruptions, no guilt. Just him and the dream that had carried him through rejection, loneliness, and silence. He moved into his own space. It wasn't a mansion or a penthouse, but it was his. And for someone who had been told to quit, kicked out, mocked, and silenced, it was a fortress. From that point forward, Speed leveled up. His content became louder, more energetic, more creative. He met celebrities, launched music, broke viewership records, and finally he did it on his own terms. Leaving wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Sometimes to rise, you have to walk away from the very place you called home. Freedom changed everything. After moving out, Darren, now fully embodying the persona of IshowSpeed, went from being a rising star to a full-blown internet phenomenon. He rocketed from 1 million subscribers to over 10 million in record time. His chaotic, high-energy style took over TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. His catchphrases became viral. His face was everywhere. Then came the music, then the awards, then the tours across continents. In Indonesia, he pulled 1 million live viewers. He met Cristiano Ronaldo, his idol, and even made his way into conversations with A-list celebrities. The boy once silenced in a bedroom was now screaming on global stages. But despite all his fame, Speed never forgot his roots or his mother. In one emotional moment, he shared with his fans that his first major purchase wasn't for himself. It was for her. A house. The same woman who doubted him, kicked him out, and muted his joy now had a home paid for by the dream she once rejected. He admitted it. She didn't always understand, but deep down she still cared. She just didn't know how to show it. And now, with the pressure of survival lifted and success undeniable, her walls slowly softened. She started supporting him. He included her in his speeches. She appeared, less angrily, in the background. Speed forgave her, not out of weakness, but strength. He showed his younger brother the love he once craved himself. He healed the cycle. Today, IshowSpeed is more than a streamer. He's a symbol of perseverance. A kid who turned rejection into revolution. A son who turned silence into sound. A voice for every young dreamer told to give up. He didn't just prove the world wrong, He proved that even broken beginnings can lead to beautiful endings.